Imagine crossing this, like, heavily guarded border, right?
Yeah.
Escaping a totally brutal military regime and um, finally taking a breath of safe air in a new country.
Yeah.
Look, the gunfire has stopped. You are physically safe.
Yeah.
But spiritually, you are entirely invisible to the global church.
Wow. Yeah. Invisible.
Right. So today we are looking at this really profound question. What does it take to sustain faith, or even discover it in the first place, when your entire environment, like your culture, your government, or even just the absolute chaos of a civil war, is actively designed to erase it?
Exactly. And that tension, right? That tension between the physical reality on the ground and the spiritual reality, that is going to be the main thread pulling us through our whole conversation today. Because, when survival requires literally everything you have, what happens to belief?
Okay, let's unpack this.
Wow.
Welcome to the Missions Connect Deep Dive. We are so glad you're here with us.
Oh.
Our mission here is really clear, right? Blessing the nations through prayer, knowledge, and obedience.
Yes.
And we are here to prepare your mind and your heart for the coming week's content. We're specifically exploring the weekly preview for week 20. So that's covering May 11th through the 17th, 2026.
Right. And before we dive into the specifics of these different regions, we do need to set a pretty critical boundary for you, the listener.
Oh, definitely. Good point.
Because, well, the weekly preview touches on these highly complex, extremely volatile geopolitical situations. I mean, we're talking about the Taliban, the military junta in Myanmar, the warring factions in Sudan.
Right, it's the heavy stuff.
It is. And we just want to be incredibly clear right out of the gate that we are not here to endorse specific political viewpoints or take sides in these conflicts.
No geopolitical commentary here.
Exactly. No commentary. Our sole focus is just unpacking the realities presented in the weekly preview so we can understand the daily lives of these specific communities.
Yeah, and setting that lens is just so vital because the reality on the ground is, like, intense enough without adding all these political layers on top.
Right.
We are really looking through the lens of a very specific promise. It's found in Matthew 24, verse 14. It says, "And this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in the whole world as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come."
And the weight of that verse, it really lies in its absolute certainty.
Yeah.
Like, it's not framed as this best case scenario or some hopeful projection.
Right, like maybe it'll happen.
Exactly. It's a divine, non-negotiable promise. The gospel will reach all nations.
Wow.
Every single unreached group, every hidden believer in a hostile state, every church caught in a war zone. It all operates within the sovereign purposes of a God who is overseeing this entire global narrative.
I love that. And so we are looking at 3 distinct communities this week that perfectly illustrate the different types of barriers standing in the way of that promise, right?
Yeah, 3 very different situations.
We will explore the unengaged Burmese living in Cambodia, the deeply hidden underground church in Afghanistan, and the resilient church surviving the civil war in Sudan. So let's start with the Burmese in Cambodia.
Yeah, so to understand global missions deeply, you often have to look at places where the barrier isn't a restrictive law, right? Or some violent state apparatus.
Okay.
Because sometimes the most profound barrier is just this deep, impenetrable cultural fusion. And we see this super vividly with the roughly 5,000 Burmese nationals who have fled Myanmar's violence and are now living in Cambodia.
Okay, wait, I'm stuck on something right out of the gate here.
Sure, go for it.
The weekly preview says these Burmese refugees are safe in Cambodia now, right? Like, they've crossed the border.
Right, physically safe.
And Cambodia actually has an established Christian presence. So why are they considered one of the hardest groups to reach? I mean, shouldn't the hard part, it's escaping the actual violence, shouldn't that be over?
You would really think so, but
Yeah.
the physical escape actually highlights the spiritual barrier even more.
Really? How so?
Well, for the Burmese, nationality and religion are not separate categories at all.
Oh, I see.
Like, Theravada Buddhism isn't just a set of beliefs they hold. It is the core ethnic marker of their identity.
Wow.
The societal formula is incredibly simple. To be Burmese is to be Buddhist.
Man. So it's totally intertwined.
Completely. So if you step away from the Buddhist temple, you aren't just, changing your Sunday routine.
Yeah.
You are essentially declaring yourself non-Burmese.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You lose your community, your social safety net, and your cultural heritage all at once.
Okay, so imagine your nationality and your religion being so completely intertwined that they are virtually the same thing.
Exactly.
It's like they successfully escaped a burning building only to end up in this like soundproof room.
That's a great way to put it.
Like the fire can't reach them anymore, but no one can hear them and they can't hear anyone else. The cultural walls are just that thick.
The soundproof room is a perfect analogy. And the tragedy here is that the global church hasn't really figured out how to break through that soundproofing yet. The Joshua Project classifies this specific group not just as unreached, which means fewer than 2% are evangelical Christian.
Right. We hear unreached a lot.
We do. But they are classified as completely unengaged.
Okay, let's define the mechanics of unengaged for a second, because what does that actually look like operationally?
So operationally, it means there is zero sustained strategic effort by any mission organization or local church network to plant a gospel presence among them.
Zero.
Zero. Think about the logistics of their daily lives, right? They go to the markets in Cambodia, they work, they interact with diaspora networks. But there is no one intentionally crossing that cultural threshold.
Nobody is going to them.
Right. Nobody is communicating the gospel in their heart language within their cultural context.
Oh, yeah.
The church just simply hasn't shown up yet.
That feels like a massive blind spot. Like they crossed a geographical border to find safety, but the church hasn't crossed the cultural border to find them.
Exactly.
And this makes the prayer focus from the weekly preview make so much more sense now.
Yeah, it really zeroes in on that.
Right, because the anchor text here is Psalm 2, verse 8. It says, "Ask me, and I will make the nations your inheritance, the ends of the earth your possession."
Mm-hmm.
So we aren't just praying this like general vague blessing over them. We are actually asking for workers to be called by name to walk into that soundproof room.
Yes. The strategy of that prayer is to literally ask God to dismantle that fusion of identity and religion.
Right.
We are interceding for that very first breakthrough, like the first family to realize they can follow Jesus without losing their Burmese soul.
Wow, yeah.
And praying for the planting of the very first church among them.
Okay, so we see how culture can erase identity in Cambodia. But what happens when the threat isn't just, cultural exclusion, but actual state-sponsored execution?
Yeah, that's a massive shift.
It is. And that brings us to our second community, Afghanistan. We are moving from the unengaged to the severely persecuted.
And the shift in the daily mechanics of survival here is, it's extreme. 4 years after the Taliban's 2021 return to power, the situation has just solidified into one of the most restrictive environments on Earth.
It's heartbreaking.
It is. Afghanistan ranks 11th on Open Doors' 2026 World Watch List with a persecution score of 86 out of 100.
Man. And the weekly preview estimates there are, 15,000 to 20,000 believers currently surviving in absolute secrecy?
Right.
And the details of how they survive, really stopped me in my tracks. Because here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah, tell me.
I'm sitting here getting stressed out about having too many unread notifications on, like a group text thread.
Right, exactly.
And these Afghan believers are literally abandoning digital communication entirely just to stay alive.
Totally offline.
Yeah. They use coded language. They relocate constantly. There are no public pastors, no buildings. It really puts our daily inconveniences into a stark perspective.
Oh, the irony is profound. Because we live in an era where connection is just effortless, right?
Really, we're hyper-connected.
Right. Yet for them, a single text message could literally be a death sentence. Wow. The apostasy laws under the current regime dictate that conversion from Islam is a capital offense.
Right.
But, and this is key, the government is actually only the secondary threat.
Wait, really? The government is secondary?
Yeah, the primary threat operates on a much more intimate level.
You're talking about the clan-level retaliation mentioned in the weekly preview?
Exactly. The societal structure in Afghanistan is fiercely tribal. It's fiercely communal. Honor and shame dictate all the community dynamics. So if a family member converts to Christianity, the entire extended family feels their honor has been deeply stained.
Oh, wow. So they take it personally.
Very.
Yeah.
The community basically polices itself. The authorities often don't even need to uncover a secret house church because a cousin or an uncle or a neighbor will handle the retaliation first.
Just to restore the family stand.
Exactly.
Which means your own living room is potentially hostile territory.
Yeah.
That is, wow. The weekly preview highlights this video resource from Voice of the Martyrs. It features an author and gospel worker named John Weaver.
Oh, yeah. That video is powerful.
It is. He talks about how Afghanistan is a highly community-based culture.
Hmm.
And I really want to dig into the mechanics of that for a second.
Let's do it.
Because in the West, we can be highly individualistic, right?
For sure.
Like I can go weeks without talking to my neighbors.
Easily.
But in a community-based culture, how do you even hide a changed life?
Well, the short answer is you don't.
You don't.
You really don't. And that is the incredible friction John Weaver points out. In a society that is built around shared courtyards, communal meals, and this hypervisibility among relatives, any shift in behavior is immediately noticed.
Right. You can't just slip away for a few hours.
Exactly. If you stop participating in certain prayers or, if your character suddenly reflects the fruits of the Spirit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like if you become unusually patient or forgiving or loving, people notice.
So changed life is literally a liability.
A profound liability. It becomes one of two things instantly.
Okay.
It's either a powerful, undeniable gospel witness that might draw someone else to Christ.
Right.
Or it's a beacon that draws immediate persecution. And honestly, it often functions as both simultaneously.
To think about community is supposed to be a source of comfort, right?
Yeah.
But for it to act as a surveillance network, it's terrifying. Finding just one other believer requires this monumental risk.
Incredible risk.
You have to speak in codes, drop hints, and sort of test the waters, knowing that if you misjudge the other person, you could literally be killed.
And yet, despite that suffocating pressure, the underground network is surviving.
Praise God.
It really is. Hebrews 13 verse 3 is the anchor here. It says, "Continue to remember those in prison as if you were together with them in prison, and those who are mistreated as if you yourselves were suffering."
As if you yourselves were suffering.
Right. It demands an active empathy from us. We cannot look at their extreme adaptation and simply feel sorry for them. We are mandated to stand with them, acknowledging that they have calculated the absolute cost of following Jesus and deemed him entirely worth it.
Amen to that. So from the hidden, fragmented silence of the Afghan underground, the weekly preview shifts our focus one more time.
Yeah, and this transition is jarring.
It is so jarring because we move from a crisis of secrecy to a massive, highly visible catastrophe.
Right.
We are looking at a church suffering openly in the crossfire of what is currently the world's worst humanitarian disaster, and that is Sudan.
The sheer scale of the Sudanese civil war, it tests our human capacity to even comprehend suffering.
It really does.
It is a crisis of staggering proportions.
The numbers feel almost too large to process. So the conflict between the Sudanese armed forces and the Rapid Support Forces, it broke out in April 2023. So we are entering the 4th year of this. And according to data from the IRC, the UN, and the WHO, featured in the weekly preview, an estimated 150,000 people have been killed.
Just horrific.
14 million people are displaced. Let me say that again. 14 million?
Yep.
25 million people are severely food insecure, and 4 million children are acutely malnourished. Sudan is now 4th on the 2026 World Watch List.
Let's pause on that one metric for a second. 14 million people displaced.
It's hard to even picture that many people.
It is. That makes it the largest displacement crisis on the planet right now.
Wow.
We are talking about families fleeing violence, walking for days, and ending up in these sprawling, incredibly under-resourced camps where just basic survival is a daily battle.
And tucked inside that massive statistic are 2 million Christians.
Right.
But the weekly preview makes it really clear they aren't just collateral damage in a political war.
No, they're not.
They're facing targeted persecution. The sources detail bombed and looted churches, pastors abducted and killed by militias.
Yeah.
But the detail that really got under my skin was about the displacement camps.
The food aid.
Yes. Christians are actively being denied food aid, specifically because of their faith. So what does this all mean for the believers holding on when even basic survival is weaponized against them? How does that even work practically? How is a bowl of food weaponized?
It happens in the localized chaos of those displacement camps.
Okay.
So international aid organizations might bring the food into the country, right?
Right.
But the actual distribution on the ground is often controlled by local militias or camp leaders or just dominant community groups.
Oh, I see.
So when a displaced Christian family finally gets to the front of the line for a ration of sorghum or water, the local distributor who knows their religious identity simply turns them away.
Unbelievable. So they are standing in a camp starving, knowing that the only thing standing between them and a meal is their refusal to deny Christ.
Exactly. And that is the dual nature of the crisis in Sudan. It is a catastrophic humanitarian failure, but it's layered with a deeply targeted spiritual attack.
Wow.
It requires us to look at the situation with two lenses simultaneously.
Yeah.
We have to carry deep, visceral grief for the atrocities being committed against civilians by all sides, but we also must recognize the specific crosshairs placed on the church.
But the most humbling part of reading through the weekly preview is the defiance.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, you read about these conditions and you assume the church has just gone completely silent just to survive.
Right, you think they just hide.
But they haven't. Pastors are still preaching in the middle of these displacement camps. Believers are still gathering in the rubble of bombed-out buildings.
It's incredible.
They are sharing their faith when they barely have enough calories to make it through the afternoon.
The resilience of the Sudanese church is an absolute masterclass in theology.
Yeah, it is.
Because it strips away every comfort we have and asks, is God still good when you are starving?
Wow.
And their enduring witness says yes. The weekly preview anchors this reality in Lamentations 3, verses 22 and 23.
I love those verses.
Me too. Because of the Lord's great love, we are not consumed, for his compassions never fail. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness.
To find new mercies every morning in a displacement camp in Darfur, that challenges my entire definition of faith.
It should. It absolutely should. Because when we observe the unengaged Burmese and the hunted Afghan believers and the starving Sudanese church, the natural human response is to feel completely overwhelmed by the gravity of it all.
Yeah, information overload is a real risk here.
It really is.
You hear these facts, and there is a temptation to just shut down.
Yep.
You might be listening to this right now thinking, I am just one person sitting in my car or, my living room. How does my empathy actually impact a Taliban stronghold or a displacement camp in Sudan?
And that skepticism is super common, but it completely misunderstands the mechanism of intercession.
Exactly.
The goal of this deep dive is to move you from just passive observation to informed strategic action. We are not just sending vague wishes or good vibes into the void.
Right. That is where your weekly prayer journey outlined in the weekly preview becomes your actual roadmap. It is incredibly practical.
Very practical.
The challenge is to spend just 12 minutes a day, so that breaks down to 4 minutes per theme.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you can join the 4-minute pre-recorded daily prayer that cycles through all 3 focuses.
And the architecture of this prayer strategy is what makes it so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Because vague prayers like, God, please help the world, they often lead to a really vague, disconnected faith.
So true.
But when you pray with specificity, you align your heart with the precise movements of the Great Commission.
Let's look at how specific these daily targets are. Like on Tuesday, the entire focus is on the Afghan believer's spiritual sustenance.
Right.
The prayer is rooted in John 10, verse 16, which talks about the shepherd who has other sheep that are not of this sheep pen, and he must bring them also.
Yes.
You're literally praying that the presence of Christ would be more tangible in that secret room than the fear of the Taliban outside the door.
That is so powerful. And then consider Saturday's focus.
Yeah.
You are praying specifically for those Sudanese pastors serving in the displacement camps. The anchor is Acts 1, verse 8.
Mm-hmm.
Asking for the Holy Spirit's power to provide strength, physical provision, and protection to the ends of the earth. You are standing alongside them in the spiritual realm, providing cover fire through intercession.
Cover fire. I love that. There are also some bonus challenges for those who want to push further this week.
Oh, yeah. The bonus challenges are great.
You can share the prayer focus with a friend to multiply the interception.
Yep, right.
You can put physical action behind your prayers by donating to the International Rescue Committee's Sudan response at rescue.org.
Excellent.
Or you can simply follow Open Doors USA on social media and just amplify a post about the persecuted church in Afghanistan.
Because every single one of these actions treats prayer as a strategic weapon.
Yeah.
Monday's devotional reflects on Psalm 22, verse 27. All the ends of the earth will remember and turn to the Lord.
Amen.
By engaging with these daily devotionals, you are actively participating in closing the gap of the Great Commission.
You literally stop being a spectator and start being an active participant in what God is doing globally.
Exactly. And as we bring this deep dive to a close, I just want to leave you with a final thought to mull over.
Right?
We've spent this time looking at how God is writing a massive global narrative, right?
Yeah.
He is weaving together the story of a small, culturally isolated Burmese diaspora in Cambodia and the brilliantly resilient, hidden Afghan believers,
Right.
and the Sudanese pastors preaching hope amidst literal starvation.
It's amazing.
If the Lord of the Harvest is still actively sending workers into these incredibly dangerous fields, and if these believers are willing to risk absolutely everything just to gather in his name, what does that reveal about the true cost of our own complacency?
Wow. Man, that is the kind of question that just forces you to evaluate how you spend your time and your energy.
It really does.
And listen,
Yeah.
this deep dive is just the starting line.
Just the beginning.
Right. To actually step into the work this week and fully engage with the content, you need to download the web-based Missions Connect app.
Yes, definitely do that.
You can do that right now by clicking the link in the description or by visiting assistingtoobey.com.
The tools you need are literally waiting for you there. The specific requests, the cultural context, the daily devotionals, they are all systematically designed to guide your 12 minutes of prayer a day.
And we also want to invite you to stay deeply connected with the broader movement by following the Assisting to Obey social media channels.
Please do.
Find us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Surround yourself with the stories and the prayer needs of the global church.
Thank you for leaning into the hard realities with us today. Thank you for choosing to pray with your eyes wide open.
Yes, from both of us, thank you for joining us on this Missions Connect deep dive. Keep blessing the nations through prayer, knowledge, and obedience. We'll see you next time for the next weekly preview.
So, you want a faith that actually matters, right? You want to make a difference in the world, to see the gospel changing lives, to know that your walk with God and His Word is impacting more than just your own life. Yeah, you want your life to count for the nations. But here's the thing. You're busy, maybe overwhelmed. You're pulled in 20 different directions. And even though you want to engage in missions and the Great Commission, you don't always know what to pray for, what's happening globally, or what your next step should be. The desire to obey is there, but the pathway isn't always clear. Let the Missions Connect app show you the way. Every day, you'll get a missions-focused devotional with a simple, practical action step and an option to share with the Missions Connect community. Every week, you get 3 strategic prayer focuses with fresh daily text and audio prayers, so you're never guessing about what to pray for. And when you're ready, you'll find opportunities to actually get involved in God's global work. Everything in the devotional and prayer section is free forever, but we offer you the opportunity to try the premium version for 15 days. You want to impact the nations with the gospel? With Missions Connect, now you can. Missions Connect, helping you bless the nations through prayer, knowledge, and obedience. A ministry of assistingtoobey.com.